this is Professor Michael Smith. In this next video, we are going to be looking at how to build a data structure that will allow us to write JavaScript to build each icon in our HTML document. Right now, in our HTML, we have icons that are used to create various scenes. This set of icons in HTML happens to represent scene 2. All right, we have a map, a cat, a globe, and a sun. Map, cat, globe, sun, and then in the scene after that we have four text icons: a division symbol, a minus symbol, a multiplication symbol, and a plus symbol. All right, and that we rebuilt here with our text icon class as well as the symbols put in the content area of the I element. But so this isn't going to be practical to hard code all these scenes. We need to abstract this into a single data structure for an icon, because every icon has a class, it has a color, it has a position, and it has a size, but it has a couple other features to it, and we're going to start to write those features and hard code them into an object so that we can use for every single icon a different object. So in our Moron.js file, we're going to start to work on this. We have our colors, but what we're going to do is we're going to think out what are all the parts that we have to worry about within our icon object. So we're going to want to build an icon object. In that object, it's going to need to have a class, a color. If it's a text icon, it's going to need to have content. It's going to need to have a size. It's going to need to have a position. There's presently a transform property that uses a translate function to position the element in the center of its position on the document. So it has that transform translate function, but we may have other transform functions that we want to add, like scale and rotate and things like that. And so we're going to need to add those. And finally, if we want to work with the text icons that have no filter on them, by default, if you think about it, the text icons have no filter, where the ghost icons and every other picture icon has a filter in the background, this little drop shadow. So if we want to have the drop shadows, we need to be able to set that as well as a filter. So what do we do? So what we need to think about is, how are we going to use an object? So if we just say, let's say, let an icon equal an object, we could have within there a class. And if we think about how we have the class value be, so the key will be class, but the value, if you think about, let's look at the HTML, it's like, well, we either have right now two classes or one class. Well, in order to deal with multiple classes, we're going to use an array. So each class, so we could have FAS will be a value within the array, and then FA dash map, right? So we have FAR and FA dash map. All right. Here, let's actually keep these in here. Put them in here. So that's our class. So you can imagine we also need to create a color, ladder, comma. So we'll have a color, and in this case, the map, I can start to use my values now. So the color is black for the map. The content, in the case of an icon, there is none. So we're going to use the null keyword so that it ignores a value being passed if there is none. All right. Then we would have the the size, and the size is just going to be a number, and we can always change it. So if we look at that particular size, it was 9. Its position is the top and left values, and we're going to sequence them left top as a number pair in an array. So 20, 35. 20 comma 35. And in this case, there's no transform change, so we'll leave that as null, as well as filter. We'll say is null because there's no value that we're using. And so that's our first icon. All right. And so you can imagine we need to do this 3 more times for the cat, globe, and sun. All right. And then we could say, imagine that the let scene to icons, icons equals this array of icon objects, right? So we have this first one, copy, which is the map. And then I would make another one and another one. And let's count, that gives us 4. All right, so we'd go from a map to the, let's get all these values here, to the FAS, FA cat, which was using the tan, which is also size 9, but its position is 4063. Then we have our FAS, FA Globe Americas, and that was blue. And again, these are using the values of colors I've saved up top, but you can put whatever colors you'd like in there. And that was at position 65 and 35, so we can just leave that. And then finally, FAS FA-sun, which was yellow, and at 8065, so 8065. And so if you can imagine, each scene is going to have an array of icons with however many number of objects for however many number of icons are in that scene. All right, so you can do the same for scene 2, or sorry, scene 3 icons. And I'm just going to do one of the text icons because they're basically all the same otherwise. And we'd create an object in here, and inside that, so we would have our class. And in this case, the class is going to be an array of one class, which is just text-icon. All right. It's going to have a color of black because they're almost always using black. In this case, we're going to use a value for content. All right, so we're going to put a string value and put that division symbol, which is the option \, so that now we actually have content that we can place within the I element. We would also have a size. I believe these were all 8. Then we have a position, and those were 20, 35. And then transform, there's no change, so we leave that as a null. And the filter, though, because it's a text, we're going to change that value to none. So the CSS value to the filter property will be none, and that will get rid of the drop shadow function. So there are changes. And so then this, we would copy 3 more times, and make our changes to the symbols and the positions, and everything else would be set. And so then we'd have 2 scenes worth of icons in these series of objects that represent each icon. All right, and we're going to be doing this in our next scene. We're going to be able to, in our next video, we're going to be able to build the elements using these array of icon objects.